I like the idea that this podcast is for people who are like trying to convince their friends to start watching The Bachelor, and then like their friends don't want to, and then they listen to this and then they realize that they do want to watch The Bachelor. I feel like that's the target audience.
Or that they don't want to watch The Bachelor and they're just perfectly happy listening to our recaps.
True, yeah, the TLDR of The Bachelor.
We could name it like Bachelor TLDR. Well, we have to come up with a name.
Yeah.
I guess we can start by telling everyone who doesn't actually watch The Bachelor that the 2021 Bachelor season has begun. And and Liz, why don't you tell us about The Bachelor?
Okay. So 2021, as we know, following 2020, the first year of the pandemic, there have been some real changes in the Bachelor world. So 2020, that was our first adjustment to filming The Bachelor in quarantine, and I would actually say it was a bit of a miss. I think La Quinta was not a great filming location in the quarantine. We were just ironing out the kinks, and we had the whole Bachelorette switcheroo, which I personally thought was a symptom of the La Quinta, of the COVID quarantine bubble and everything. But we figured it out for 2021. And we have Matt James as the new Bachelor, who is interesting because we've never seen him on The Bachelor before. He's never been on The Bachelorette. He wasn't a contestant. He's never done it before. And he's saying, as his sort of through line, his narrative is that because he's never been on The Bachelor before, that they're going through it together for the first time, and that's how he's going to relate to the women.
Wait, I have a question first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are most like people so are most bachelors on the Bachelor, were they contestants on The Bachelorette? Is that like a common thing?
Yes.
Oh.
So they're usually runner-up, like in the top 4 kind of thing. So sometimes it's better to not win The Bachelorette because then you become The Bachelor.
That seems a little incestuous.
Oh my God.
100%. It's like this weird little cult where everyone gets with everyone. And actually they realized this and turned it into a whole new show. And so they're still capitalizing on it in Bachelor in Paradise. That's exactly what it is. They get everyone who's been dumped on The Bachelor and Bachelorette, all the fan favorites, everyone who's had a bit of a feud and a bit of drama. They stick them all in Mexico and have them just be around each other all the time to see what happens. And it's
Or Mexico.
Yeah.
They should send them to Florida.
Ooh.
Maybe they'll have to this year.
So basically, once you're a Bachelor contestant, you are in the Bachelor Nation forever.
Yeah, totally. And the other thing is too, like all of them have the same brand deals and they do the same, like, this event hosted by X and Y from Bachelor Nation. Like they're all doing the same shit. You go in The Bachelor and then you have your life set up as like a host and an influencer forever. And so you're just around these people. I think that For the Right Reasons doesn't really exist anymore, truly. I think there's no way you can go on The Bachelor naive enough. Like you can't get far enough on The Bachelor to get cast without having like an Instagram that's ready for influencer status and the like ability to host something or like to talk in an interview or the media training. Like you just don't get cast anymore.
So Matt James is new to this Bachelor incest world, maybe. I mean, there's a chance he's already in it and we just didn't know. But
so Matt James has come into the picture through Tyler Cameron, who is one of the most actually successful Bachelorette contestants of all time. He didn't win, but he went on to date Gigi Hadid. So if that's not a sign of absolute Bachelorette prowess, I don't know what is. And so Matt James is best friends with Tyler Cameron. So that's how the producers know about Matt James, and that's how he got cast. Nice. He's the first ever Black Bachelor. Huge ticks for diversity. However, it is a little bit interesting that somewhere in his past he was part of the Republican Party, and there are rumors swirling that he's a Trump supporter. So it's interesting that the first Black Bachelor they cast is more conservative. Anyway.
It reminds me a lot of the phenomenon of women Trump supporters and kind of the history of female politicians in general, is that in order to be taken serious as a woman, you have to act like a man. And, you know, so it's like, in order to be a woman politician, at first you have to be conservative. You have to be like a conservative woman politician a lot of times.
Even Black Trump supporters.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. I feel like perhaps it's a similar phenomenon, which is just sad all around in every direction. It makes me sad.
But look, to be fair, the whole Trump supporter thing is itself a conspiracy.
Okay. So it's not confirmed. That's good.
It's unconfirmed, but I am just spreading rumors. We're just absolutely stirring shit. You know, I would consider it a victory if at some point we get a cease and desist letter from Bachelor production.
Oh my God. I'm reading a book right now by someone who got a cease and desist letter by Bachelor production. So.
Who was it?
Oh my God. I don't even remember. I will have to tell you guys next episode.
Okay. Yeah, please do. That's the hook. That's how we get people to come back for episode 2. So we have Matt James. First episode. Amazing. We're in a new place that's called a chateau. It's a huge mansion, heaps of outdoor space. It looks beautiful, lush, back to Bachelor roots. Lots of funny little candles everywhere and a big red carpet, and someone's hosed the driveway so it looks all shiny for the camera. We're back to where we've begun.
Or they oiled it. It could just be like extra gasoline.
No. They really do add water to the concrete. Okay, so Georgia is the most filmed in state in the United States. And since I went to school in Georgia, there was a lot of filming on my campus. And there were people, some of my classmates were like protesting that they were wasting so much water, just pouring it on the driveway. It's really bizarre.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to make a joke about how the ladies are on fire and it lights the whole place up.
Hey!
But I didn't form it in my head fast enough. And anyway, so things are wet, basically.
That's the long and short of it.
Nothing sets the mood like a wet driveway.
Yeah, there we go. And we have a cast of 32 women this season. Unheard of.
How many is there usually?
It's usually like 25, 26.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like a lot. And you can even tell in the mansion when they're all together, it's like a zoo of gorgeous women in very gorgeous dresses. And it's gonna be hard for Matt to choose between over 30 gorgeous women.
Except, you know what? I reckon he probably has like his top 5 picked already. Like, I reckon night 1, you just know like who you're. Do you reckon?
Okay, so I've read about this before. This is a rumor. I don't know if it's 100% true, but apparently on the first night, The Bachelor picks 4 contestants to end up in his top 4, and everything that happens in between is subject to be moderated by the producers, and that like he like they can kick people off and like make people stay basically at will, but the Bachelor gets to like protect 4 girls.
That's really interesting.
That sounds legit. Because, you know, you're in like a group of people at a party and like you walk in and you don't know anyone, and then there's like one group of like a couple of people and you're like, I reckon I'll get along with them the best. And you just know straight off the bat.
Yeah.
For sure.
You just know.
So maybe we should talk about some of the women, because I pulled up their pictures so that I can remember their names. Maybe Liz and I should just point out the ones that stood out to us on this list.
Yeah. And I can point out, on looks alone, Matt James isn't really my type.
I thought this as well, and then I watched the first episode and I love him.
Really? I don't know how I feel about him yet.
I think it's hilarious how much taller he is than literally everyone else. He's 6'5" and all the women are like 5'8".
I don't date anyone over 5'10". It's not even like a conscious thing. It's just how it has always happened.
Mm-hmm. I would just like to add, as a 5'11" woman, I really appreciate you guys dating the short ones, because nothing makes me madder than seeing a really tall guy with a really short girl, because there aren't that many out there for me, and it's selfish when the short girls get with the tall guys. So
I feel like tall guys, they end up with an ego about it, and I don't have time for that.
It's so true though, honestly. I'm like always nervous around tall guys because I just feel like they're gonna be kind of mean. Liz disagrees, but you know what? Liz is 5'11", so she's allowed to disagree.
Maybe I'm intimidating to short guys. Maybe to short guys look at me and they're like, I reckon she's babe.
All right, guys, let's refocus because I don't want this podcast to be an hour and a half of non-Bachelor talk. So obviously Abigail deserves a note. So Liz, would you like to tell us a little bit about Abigail?
Absolutely. I can tell you about Abigail. She was one of the first limo entries that we saw, and there was nothing super remarkable about it. She just walked out of the limo. She wasn't in a costume. She didn't give him a gift or anything like that. She just walked up to him. But what's pretty remarkable about her entrance was that she actually revealed to us that she's the first deaf contestant that we've ever had. And I think her little thing that she said to Matt was something along the lines of, I'm deaf and I can't hear anything without my cochlear implant, but luckily you have really nice lips and I'm going to have to read them. Something like that.
Wow, yeah, what a smooth mother trucker. That.
Yeah. And so he said that he was going to enunciate his words really well for her, which was a really cute response to that little thing that she said. I would like to note that he did not continue to enunciate his words through the rest of their conversation. But that's neither here nor there, I guess. We'll see how their relationship progresses. But she was really beautiful. And later in the evening, Abigail received the first kiss from Matt James and the first impression rose, which is a huge, huge predictor, I guess, of making it really far in the competition. So
what is the first impression rose?
So it's one rose that the Bachelor can give out to one woman before the official rose ceremony.
Oh, that's cute. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, look, she seems really cool. Like, she seems really down to earth. I think she might have mentioned that her sibling is also deaf and her parents are hearing. So I don't know. It's really cool. Honestly, like, I took some ASL classes in high school and like learned a little bit about deaf culture and like have always been intrigued by it. So I think, you know, it's cool to have that representation. Do I think The Bachelor is like going to do a really good job of including it? Probably not. But it's a nice mention, and she's beautiful and definitely deserving of the first impression rose. She seems really cool. Yeah, but I would like to say that Anna, who is another contestant, not the Anna on the podcast, is literally exactly Hannah B, right, Liz?
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Like Hannah B. She's got mad Hannah B energy. Anna, if you don't know this, Hannah B was a previous Bachelorette who is like very bubbly and outgoing. And this girl is like just like control paste of her.
Yeah.
Wow, that's kind of scary. Especially being Hannah and Anna.
Yes, right?
Okay, that's really uncanny because I dated someone who the person they dated before me, Anna, was named Hannah.
Okay, I would also like to point out Chelsea.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. She's so beautiful.
So Bachelor Twitter blew up about her when she came in, she had a fucking gorgeous dress. She walked so confidently, and it turns out she's a runway model, so it makes sense that she like literally stole the red carpet walk. She is cool. I think we stand with Chelsea.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
She was wearing this dress and it had all of this like sculptural shoulder stuff going on and backless, like unlike anything we've ever seen. We've seen a lot of pageant style dresses on The Bachelor, and this dress was just like so avant-garde, so abstract. It was incredible.
Wow. I was gonna say, of the people on the screen right now, Chelsea is the person that I would be most interested in dating.
Yo, fair. Are there any other comments about the people before I scroll?
Just that I'm really happy to see Chris Harrison again. He seems happier in this Bachelor setting than he was at La Quinta.
Oh, come on. But Chris and Ed is the love story of a lifetime.
That's true. Nothing can come close.
Who's Ed?
Oh my God. Okay, yeah, I think we need to take a moment to talk about Chris and Ed. Ed was a guy on The Bachelor who was maybe like the butt of not like the butt of every joke, but like they really only kept him on for like the comedic value that he brought to the table.
Ed's the kind of guy who continued to have tantrums into high school.
Okay.
I don't know if I got that vibe from him, but look, I support it. So here's the thing about Ed is one day he was like, you know what? I don't think I am high enough on the Bachelor's list, which, you know, good sense, Ed, because you weren't. And so he decides to go to the Bachelorette's room. So he goes to Tayshia's room, and he is walking up to Tayshia's room, and the producers put it right next to a montage of another contestant trying to go to the Bachelorette's room. And so who's going to get to the room first? And Ed gets there first, and he knocks on the door. And who opens the door but Chris Harrison? And Chris goes, Ed, what are you doing here? It's 2 a.m. And Ed is like, oh, I'm looking for Tayshia. And Chris is like, she's not here. This is my room. And he's like, oh, well, where's Tayshia's room? And Chris is like literally on the other side of the resort. And Ed's like, oh man, but I walked all the way over here. And Chris is like, well, do you want to come in for some wine? And so then Chris and Ed have themselves a pretty little date over some wine at 2 a.m. And all of the jokes for the rest of the season were about how Chris and Ed are destined to be together. And honestly, it's one of my favorite Bachelor jokes.
That's gotta be some of the, I'm loving the bisexual energy in that story for sure.
Yeah.
In any case,
I would like to point out, actually, you know what? Let's start with Katie. Let's talk about Katie. Katie walks out of the limo with a vibrator.
She comes out and it's glittery, like it's on, it's buzzing,
Is that safe?
Well, the producers let it happen. I'm sure they probably had to fill out a risk assessment of some form to make it happen.
I'm just like, I wouldn't want to put anything glittery.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Yeah, it's huge, it's buzzing, and she walks up to Matt James. She's already laughing. She's already cracking up at her own joke. And so is Matt James when he figures out what's going on. It takes him a second, but then he sees it and it's like, whoa, okay, I know what's going on here. And so she walks up to him and she goes, look, there's like one thing that's really been getting me through quarantine, on top of like looking forward to meeting you. And it's this and it's this. And so she pulls out the vibrator and like passes it over to him and says, but it's time for me to pass on the baton to you. And then he's laughing. He doesn't know what to say. I don't even think he says anything really. I think he might have stumbled over a thank you or something, but he feels very awkward and very put on the spot. And then she goes, oh, actually, you're still dating 32 other women. I'm going to hold on to it for a while. And then her gag for the rest of the night is whenever she goes to steal him to get time, she pokes him with the with the big vibrator. And she does it I think one too many times, but it's a really good gag. I enjoy it a lot.
It's like mad cringe for me.
Yeah. Also, I appreciate how crude The Bachelor is becoming. A couple of years ago, we would never have seen anything like this. It was so conservative. They didn't talk about sex, and now all of a sudden, dildos on TV. Love it.
Yeah, that's so interesting. If I had to guess, like, who on screen would have done something like that, it wouldn't have been Katie.
I would also like to mention one of the contestants came up and told Matt that she wants to put her balls in his mouth and then pulled out meatballs from her purse. Like they were in a plastic bag in her purse for like fucking God knows how long. And then she sticks them in his mouth. And it was just so cringe and like so middle school. And it reminded me of the time that I showed up to middle school on April Fool's Day with Hershey Kisses and went around saying, "Do you want a kiss?"
That's a really great gag. I actually quite like that.
But it's Maggie is from Ethiopia. She seems really badass. Like I really, really like her. The one weird thing that she said though was when she met Matt, she was like, "I came all the way from Ethiopia just for you," which is not true. She came for a PhD, which is super cool.
She finished her PhD. She's a doctor.
Honestly, I don't think she should downplay that by telling Matt she's here from Ethiopia for him, because she's not.
Yeah. Wow. That's when okay, here's the thing. That's when you make a joke like, my PhD may be in yada, 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 but I'm thinking of getting a degree in anatomy. Do you want to help me with that?
Oh, that is forward. Okay. Other person I would like to point out though is Kit. Here's the thing about Kit is Kit and Victoria, who I think we should talk about next, are definitely going to be the like villains towards each other. But anyway, Kit is 21. She is a fashion entrepreneur, which as you know means she didn't go to college. And she is really pretty and she seems very privileged. And she is going to butt heads with Victoria. Liz, would you like to tell us about Victoria and how privileged Victoria seems?
So Victoria has self nicknamed, which is a risky move, I reckon, actually. She's decided that she's going to be Queen Victoria from the get-go, and actually, as you can see, that's her profession on the cast bios. So she is the last limo entry that we see in the evening, and she comes in carried on a throne by 4 men. She's carrying a staff and she's got a crown on, and then she gives Matt a crown as well, and then there's some gag about them being the king and queen, but she just keeps going into every room and being like, "I'm Queen Victoria, I've arrived, the queen is here." And like, I think she's probably already drunk when she's coming in on the throne. Like, she just seems a little bit out of control, but you know what, I love it. I can't wait to watch her this season. I think she's going to be hilarious. I think she's going to stir shit, and I think she's going to talk real talk in the little like individual interviews. Like, she'll just say it as it is. She's not here to make friends, and I am into her. I think she'll be fun.
Yeah, I completely agree that she will be fun for the sake of drama. So Kit and Victoria actually already had their first butting heads moment. And Victoria comes in and tells everyone that she's the queen. And Kit said, "You know what? That's okay. You can be the queen because I'm the president, the CEO, the king, the princess. I am everything else." And so we were like, "Cool, Kit. Like, that's really cool for you, Kit." So Victoria is the queen and Kit is everything else. And that is the moral of that story. Also, Victoria really did this like shitty thing where she would go up to girls who she knew hadn't had time with Matt and said things like, oh, have you seen Matt yet? And they're like, oh no. And she's like, oh my God, you should totally see Matt. I've seen him twice already. You just need to like get up and go for it. Just like stand up and say, Matt, I want to see you right now. And these girls are like, okay, girl, chill. And Victoria's like, you know what? I'm going to go do that right now. And so she gets up and she pulls Matt aside for like the fucking third time. And she's like really obnoxious about it. And so, yep, Victoria's already making her way to being the villain, but obviously going to be incredibly fun to watch.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It does kind of make me wonder, like everyone else, yeah, has like a profession listed. So I do kind of wonder what Victoria does with her time when she's not on this show.
It's a good question.
I mean, plenty of people are unemployed right now, and that's fine. But like, it's still interesting. Like, I don't know. When I lost both of my jobs to the pandemic, I at least would have put something like jigsaw puzzle enthusiast. Like, I don't know. How do you spend your time?
Well, you know, they've gotten it to a point before where someone's description was former child. So
what?
Yeah,
okay.
You can just be former child if literally you have nothing else to say about yourself. Anyway, I would just like to say as well, we skimmed over Rachel, and that brings me back to one of the most interesting things that Matt James did all night, which is he'd met everyone who had come in off the limo, and then instead of, usually like the Bachelor walks into the room and all the women are there and they've all got their champagne flutes, and then he's like, thanks so much for being here, I'm really excited to go on this journey with you all, like cheers to love. Like that's the classic speech. And he was like, I feel really nervous, I don't want to do this. And so he did a prayer with them all. He led a prayer, and they all prayed together, which I thought was extremely interesting. And the reason I want to bring up Rachel in this is that she was so moved by his prayer that she had a little cry during it. And I think she's going to go far. She got the first rose of the Bachelor, of the rose ceremony that evening. She was the first name that he called then. After they'd had some beautiful one-on-one time, and she shared how meaningful it was to her that he started off with a prayer with all of them. But I find it interesting that he started with a prayer, because it assumes that all of the women are religious, and I don't know that they would be. What do you guys think?
I actually think that strategically it's kind of a good move, that if he really cares about being with someone who's religious, that will give everyone a sense of what's important to him and what he's looking for, and it will help him find the perfect person.
Actually, that's a good. I sort of thought of it as like in that first speech or like introduction, that you'd want to make everyone feel welcome and included, but actually he's getting straight to business. He's like, I want a girl who's religious. If I do a prayer at the beginning, I'll be able to see who's uncomfy and kick him off night one.
That's really interesting, as someone who grew up very religious and has had religion be a very interesting part of all of my relationships. I've been on both sides of that scenario, more or less, where I'm like, I don't think our, religious views about XYZ are compatible, even with other Christians of like different denominations. I've been on that side of it. And then I've also been on the side where I was dating someone who was an atheist, who I just thought was the bee's knees. And they more or less broke up with me because they're like, I can't date someone religious. Wow. But I still think it's kind of presumptuous. I don't know. See, I get what both of you are saying. Like, Lizzo, you're like, he just assumed all women would be like okay with that. Which I think is a little crummy. There is kind of that part of it. But then there's also the part of like, I don't know, you're here to get to know me, and this is me. This is what I'm comfortable with, and being true to yourself. It's kind of a fine line to walk. but all I know is, even as someone who still considers themselves to be religious, I think, I would not want to date someone who just assumes that I'm okay being around prayer. Because religion can be so traumatic for so many people. And it has been for me, and I'm still even like a practicing member of said religion. So it's really something.
That's a really interesting point that I didn't consider, that like some people could have traumas relating to religion, and maybe be like super caught off guard.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how it plays out the rest of the season. I think they've done a really good job of casting a Black bachelor who pretty much meets every other criteria of a conservative bachelor contestant. That they, yeah, I think it's a good stepping stone. Well, good, we'll see. I think it's a very clear stepping stone that they've made into having a more diverse lead in The Bachelor. So I'd be curious to see how the rest of the season plays out, how religion plays out, if they show conversations about it, if they don't. I think all of it will, be really telling to see what production is looking for at the moment.
That's very true. The last person I'd like to point out, MJ, I think is going to be really badass. I like right away really liked her. I think she looks super cool. I would also like to point out that poor MJ is also the name of the vibrator that Katie brought. And that happened because someone had asked Katie like what her vibrator's name is, and Katie was like, it doesn't have a name. And everyone was like, you gotta name your vibrator. And so she like came up with MJ and was like, yeah, that seems like a cool name. And MJ is like in the corner and is like, oh God. And Katie's like, oh my God, that's your name, isn't it? And MJ's like, yeah. And then Katie's like, well, I guess you guys are sharing a name now. And so Katie goes and interrupts MJ with her vibrator by like tapping her on the shoulder with it, and is like telling Matt like, oh yeah, this is MJ number 2. So that's mad cringe, and very silly. So
I do just want to clarify that MJ being for Matt James is the reason why she named her vibrator MJ. So,
oh yes, that is true. And then there's a girl whose last name is James.
Yeah, and she was like, my dad doesn't want me to change my last name. So luckily we have the same one already.
Yeah. So that makes sense, actually, that the vibrator's name is Matt James.
Yeah.
Yeah, MJ caught my attention too because her hair is just like, wow.
Incredible.
She seems really cool. I don't think she'll make it too far. I think she'll go on a few group dates and then leave maybe like around the top 10. That's my prediction about it.
She's also from Ohio, so Ohio represent.
She just seems too chill for him. I think he wants someone who's going to be really like, I don't know, like social media ambitious, that kind of thing. And she's just like, whatever, man. Like when someone named the vibrator after her, she was like, well, okay, then think about me. Like,
amazing.
Yeah.
She might be too chill for Paradise, but honestly, I hope that if she doesn't go far, that we get to see more of her on Paradise.
Serena looks, I don't know, she just looks like she'd be a 10 out of 10 bad bitch. Do we know anything about her?
Which one?
Serena?
Yeah, but which Serena?
Oh, there's two. Sorry, Serena C. That's so confusing.
Yeah. What do we know about Serena C? Well, thank you for asking.
I don't remember her limo entry.
Serena C is not a fan of birthday attention. Serena C loves bottomless mimosas and says her favorite food is chicken wings. Nothing makes Serena C happier than when she puts together the perfect outfit.
I don't think Serena C and I would be friends. That's really sad.
That's fair. You know what? That's okay.
Yeah,
That's totally okay.
there you go. I think this is going to be a fiery season. I think there's going to be drama. I think there's going to be a couple of really, really great girls. What I liked about Tayshia's season, who's the most recent Bachelorette, is that her final four were all great. And I don't remember a season in recent history where the final four were all fantastic. And I'm really hoping for another great final four this season. Or should we say like who we reckon our top four would be?
Maybe we should have Anna do it first.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Anna, based on looks alone, who do you think is going to be your top four?
Okay, I'll do the top four that I think, the little that I know about Matt, that Matt would choose. And then if this were a queer version of the show, I'll choose my four women that I would want to date. Okay. Mm-hmm. I actually think Anna will be one of them, because if he is indeed on the more conservative side of the political spectrum, she just sort of looks like she could get with that. And she has blonde curly hair and sort of wow, I'm really trying to describe this objectively, but I really can't think of a better way to describe her other than like a 50s housewife face. Like she looks like she would look good in that. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, but I'm getting vibes. But and you said that her personality was kind of bubbly. I can see it. I can see it. Okay, so I think Anna would be one of them. I think Maggie will go far, but I don't think she will be in the top four. I don't know anything about Kristen, but I think Kristen maybe. Kristen has like a fun kind of flowy top on that's like you could wear that to church too. And let's see. So I think she'll be in the top four. Oh, Rachel, the one who cried at the prayer. I also think she's going to be in the top four. And we'll go Abigail. She got the first impression rose, so I would say that means something. I think Katie's gonna be kicked off pretty early.
Okay.
I reckon they'll give her one more group date and then they'll.
Yeah.
Katie reminds me a little bit of myself in that sometimes I take jokes that I recognize are like really bad and uncomfortable to like a level that I think is really funny because I'm making people uncomfortable, but it like makes people uncomfortable. So part of me is like, what if Katie's actually cool? Because like, you know, she reminds me of myself. But you know, I also like wouldn't be surprised if it turns out she's not cool and she just has no chill and just, you know, vibrator girl.
It's what I know, what you guys have told me. She sounds like a very cool, sex positive woman, which makes me think if the rumors are true about Matt James being a Trump supporter, that just wouldn't be a good fit, you know? And that's why it is because she's cool that I don't think she's gonna go very far. Okay, and then really quick, the four people that I think I would want to date if I were the Bachelor would definitely be Chelsea, maybe Cassandra. Cassandra's really cute. I did think Kit was cute until you guys started telling me about her. MJ, yeah. And honestly, Maggie. I love the idea of me finally getting my PhD and us just being this like really insane power couple.
Yeah, I mean, Maggie is absolutely gorgeous and she's like wearing a red velvet dress in her picture and like again with like the kind of deep red lips and she's got like arched eyebrows and she just looks like a star, honestly. It's really
cool. No, she's definitely one of those people that in real life I would have like a huge friend crush on her. Like I'd really want to be her friend, but I would just like, she's just out of my league in every way.
So I'm gonna say top 5 actually, because I think Abigail is going to be top 5, but I don't think she'll make hometowns.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's going to have a lot of respect for her, and he's going to be like, look, I just don't see it going further with you. And like, I don't want to meet your family. I don't want your family to meet my family. Like, I'm just going to like call it here. That's what I reckon. So I reckon the top 4 is going to be, I think Piper could go far. She seemed really chill in her entrance. But we don't know much about her. We didn't see much about her. Rachel, Piper, Sarah. I think Sarah will go far. And who else will I put in there? I think Kayla. As well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what, Liz? We are going to keep track of your predictions.
Yeah.
We can update your predictions every episode and see how they go. Anna, you can, since you're our resident non-watcher, I think you can tell us, based on what you learn of every person, what you think will happen.
Okay.
So honestly, I think this is all we've got this episode. And tune in next time to see how our predictions pan out, and what more crazy things these women can stir up for us in the Bachelor Mansion.
Yeah. And I hope Matt can do some, I don't know. I hope I get to learn more about him so that I judge him less, because right now I'm not liking him.
All right. This was great fun. Thanks for chatting about The Bachelor with me.